Wanda wasn't upset that you're not John D. Rockefeller?
She said she didn't really care what I did.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, so I didn't tell her.
Tony, you have to deal with it.
I know. Well, how did you do it? Was it tough?
You have any more cookies?
Aha! You didn't tell him.
Couldn't tell him I was president of the agency. Not after I offered to type his presentation. It's important to him. If Jim Peterson likes it, I get to read it.
Ooh, well, you better make sure it's typed nice and neat. I hear you're tough.
Hi, everybody. It's AOA, the Who's the Boss podcast.
It's nice. Like the way your forehead wrinkles when
Hey, listen, I haven't been able to get Botox in months, so leave my forehead alone.
it's just like I could tell you're really trying.
I'm Tori.
And I'm Kevin.
And we are here to rewatch and recap every episode of Who's the Boss leading up to the reboot.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah.
Really quick, the AOA count is not
going well.
No.
Yeah.
It's like one.
Well,
from episode 1.
Well, we had that one, but then we had Samantha do one.
Right.
We're kind of going to have one in this episode. We'll talk about it later.
Yes, that's true.
But yeah.
It's a good tease.
So, I know. So far, maybe we shouldn't have named this podcast that. But it will pick up, I think.
I know it gets to be more. It just, that's my point, is like, we named this podcast and we're 7 episodes in.
This is 8.
Or 8,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. So we've done 7.
So,
this is number 8.
yeah.
Right.
So
Gotcha.
I don't have any real news. I'm just going to say again that if you are interested in writing, screenwriting, there will be a Zoom online masterclass with Judith Light and novelist screenwriter Robert Desiderio, who is also her husband. That'll be taking place on Thursday, August 17th, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, 4 p.m. Pacific Time. Tickets are $20, and I will put the link on our show notes. It supports an organization called 92y.org who does like panels and different kind of entertainment things in New York City and nationally.
All right.
Oh, I signed up for it.
You did?
I did.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah. But I hope that I don't have to actually talk. I just want to sit there and watch and learn.
Yeah, I don't think you'd have to talk.
I know. I'm hoping there's going to be enough people that I can sink into the wallpaper.
It's like 4 people.
I know.
And there you are.
No, please. Zoom can take 100, so I'm hoping for at least 98. So, okay, today we're going to discuss Season 1, Episode 8. The title of this episode is Truth in Dating. It aired December 4th, 1984. The TV Guide summary is, both Tony and Angela think their jobs turn off prospective dates. So when Tony is mistaken for a man of wealth and Angela for a secretary, neither is anxious to set the record straight. It was written by one of our favorite names, Bud Weiser, and Monica Parker.
Budweiser.
I know, it's a great name. Fantastic name.
Like, is that real? I guess.
It's,
I guess so.
I mean, real enough for him to put it on TV,
Yeah,
I guess. True. Yeah. So when this episode opens, Tony is feeding the kids breakfast. And it's obvious he's in a rush because, unlike normal Tony, he has like some sort of plastic.
Hang on, before you get.
Sorry, yeah.
No, I'm sorry. I keep interrupting you. Full disclosure / I mean, I don't know. Actually, we have crickets in the house.
Oh, I didn't hear them that.
No, they're not going now.
Okay.
But I'm saying if some point you hear crickets.
Yeah.
It's not a sound effect we're adding in.
Right. No, we're not outside.
No, we're not outside.
Yeah. So we got a bearded dragon for our daughter a few weeks ago.
I'm not sure that's why there are crickets in the house.
I'm guessing because we're feeding the bearded dragon.
So you think one got behind the piano?
Yes, I'm thinking somehow a couple of them got out.
Okay. Yeah.
And now they're behind our piano. Or they've just come in. So, yes, I'm sorry if you hear crickets.
If you hear crickets, this is why. Sorry. Go ahead. Sorry. Now I'm hitting my microphone. I'm getting excited.
So the kids are eating breakfast, and Tony has like a plastic tablecloth down. And it's clear he's in a rush. So he's like trying to get them to eat. Then he just balls up the tablecloth with all the disposable bowls and plates and everything and throws it in the trash. And he's like, okay, great. Let's get out the door.
Yeah.
And at some point, Jonathan must have just like gone in the laundry hamper and grabbed a sweater, because Angela comes downstairs and she's like, his sweater's filthy. He cannot wear this. So he rips it over his head, flips it around and puts it back on. And that ends up in the open.
Yeah,
also
that's
for
in the
season
open.
1.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a great one. So he's shuttling the kids out the door, and then he's like, Angela, we got to get going. Like, you're going to miss your train. And she's moving slowly, and he's like, is that what you're wearing to work? She's also wearing this, like, a sweater.
Yeah.
And I love when she says, if you pull this sweater over my head,
Yeah, that was a good
turn
line.
it inside out, you're fired. So it's obvious he wants everyone out, but why? So Angela says that she's going to be working from home that day, so she doesn't have to rush anywhere. So now working from home.
Yes, this is my notes.
Right, this is going to be, okay. So, yeah, my question is, how did you really work from home in the 80s?
And I think it's shown at some point in the episode, but you got a pad of paper and you wrote stuff down.
Yeah. She has like a storyboard.
Because she is writing ideas down.
Right. Yeah, because you didn't have a laptop that you brought home.
I guess you can make phone calls. You can still
but the office
call
has
people.
to call you. So like, I'm working from home right now, semi-permanently, I guess.
Yes.
But I'm at a computer all day, and I have like full access to everyone
everything.
I work with
Right.
on instant message and email. So yeah, so working from home in the 80s, I had to look different. But yeah, she's sitting there at some point with a storyboard and like a notepad, and then I guess Rosie has to just call her if she needs anything.
Right. Or Rosie be like, this person called.
Yeah.
Call them back, or here's their number, or
I
whatever.
guess she could have maybe a fancy setup, even where like her phone line forwards to her her office at home.
Is that a thing in the 80s?
I don't know.
I know forwarding was popular at some point, or like you could do it, but before the interwebs.
Yeah, but if anyone can work from home in the 80s, it's Angela Bauer.
That's true.
Yeah,
Yep.
She's going to get things done.
Yep.
So this is, of course, Angela is notorious for her morning breakfast being juice and coffee. Like, that's all she ever wants for breakfast, except for this morning.
Except for today.
Yeah. She's thinking about pancakes.
Yeah.
She's
Stuffing.
rifling through. Yes. She's rifling through the cabinets, and she's like, stuffing?
No.
Oh, no.
But I like when she's like stuffing, she considers it for a second.
Yeah.
Like, stuffing?
Yeah.
No.
It sounds pretty good, I guess.
Like, who eats stuffing for breakfast?
No one.
I mean, I
one.
would, actually, probably.
Maybe the day after Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I would do that. I would totally do that.
Totally.
Other than that.
No. So to rush her, to get her out of his hair, he hands her a yogurt, I'm assuming.
Yes. It is a yogurt.
Makes a reference to Jack Klugman.
Yes, that's how we know it's a yogurt.
Okay. So you looked this up, because I have no idea.
Yes.
What that
actually,
means.
they're back in what did I have the year for? 1979. Jack Klugman used to do Yoplait commercials. Yoplait yogurt.
Oh, okay.
Because he gets the yogurt out, he puts the spoon in it, and then he says, "Yo, it's good enough for Jack Klugman. It's good for you," or whatever. I don't even know what he says. I forget.
And who is Jack Klugman?
Jack Klugman is an actor. He was actually in The Odd Couple.
Oh, okay. So Tony wants to get to the grocery store.
Yes.
And we find out that the reason why he wants to get to the grocery store is because there's a woman there that he likes. So he's in the produce section. So is this woman. She's played by Victoria Bass, who I looked her up on IMDb. Mm-hmm. She did some work in the 80s and 90s. Nothing really that people would immediately recognize her from. And the interesting thing was that Who's the Boss is her first credit. So I thought that was interesting. So Tony is laying it on thick.
Yeah, he did a good job.
Yeah.
I was impressed.
I know. Like, I don't think anyone would have said no to him with all the moves he was putting on. But they were like sincere moves. Like, you can tell he really liked her. And he's trying to like get to know her a little bit, see if he can get a date with her.
Yeah, and the other thing is, though, it's, if you notice, he's like as soon as she's checking out the melons, it becomes like, oh, a melon's good. And then it was like, you like tomatoes? Like, it was almost like, like not sexual, but like, oh, how do you like tomatoes? And she's like, I like
right.
beefsteak tomatoes. I don't know. It got like, oh, okay, I see what's happening here.
But then there's like potatoes. Like,
Yeah, I don't know.
you go from beefsteak tomatoes to potatoes.
Which destroys
Yeah.
my feet.
No. He was doing a good job until he got to the
Right.
potatoes.
And then it's like throw one more for good measure
Right.
because there's like counting out like 5 or 6 potatoes.
So he gets the grocery store manager to like introduce them, and finally she does give him her number. She writes it on a pumpkin.
On a pumpkin, yeah.
But she also, so we get the idea that maybe she's also noticed him before because she makes a mention about the Jaguar, that she's seen him driving the Jaguar.
Yeah, that's right.
So this is the first mention of that. I don't know if Angela had it the whole time and they just took the station wagon to Brooklyn because you don't want to drive a Jaguar into Brooklyn or not. But yeah, so he's allowed to drive that car around, I guess.
Yeah.
So
She takes the train in town anyway.
true.
I mean, she
true.
was working from home that day.
Right, but normally. So he gets home. He's super excited with his pumpkin with a number on it. And for some reason, Mona's taking pictures.
Yes,
Yeah.
I was going to touch on that.
So I just kind of feel like at first they didn't really know what to do with Mona. Like she had to be there, but then like why was she there? So my only assumption is that she's maybe taking a photography class, and so she's taking pictures for that. But they don't really say that.
He walks in with the pumpkin. She's by the front door. She takes
It's a dishwasher.
she takes a picture of him, and then he kind of looks at her like, I don't know if you noticed that. He looks back at her like what's going on?
Right.
But he doesn't say anything. He just goes on about telling his story about the pumpkin and the phone number. But he does look back at her like, what's happening?
Right. What are you doing here?
And then I'm like, oh, well, Mona's taking pictures, and they'll explain that later.
Yeah, and they
And
never
they just don't.
No.
They don't.
Nope, never
It's
do.
just Mona's taking
So maybe
pictures.
something got cut, or I don't know. But
Maybe we'll find out later. A lot of these episodes are new to me, even though I remember watching this show as a child.
right.
Or younger.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe they'll touch
They're
on that
all
in another
new to me.
episode. So Tony explains that he was in a rush because this woman goes to the market every Monday at 8:30 after her tennis class, and so
Right.
he wanted to be there so that he
Yes.
could meet her. And so this is where we get this like awkward AOA, which is hey-oh OA.
Yeah. That was a weird one.
It's still going to count, but it's not like an actual one. So I don't know if they were like workshopping maybe some other variations, or Tony Danza just said that in the moment, but
Yeah, why did he say that? 'Cause they're questioning him about it, right?
yeah, I don't remember why
Yeah,
though.
but he does say it.
Yeah. So he basically lets them know that the woman thinks that he's rich and that he drives Angela's Jaguar.
Yeah, he let that happen.
And she says that he shouldn't start a relationship with a misunderstanding.
Which you must remember for later.
Right. And so Mona's like, well, it's better than you because you have no relationships going on. And
Right.
Angela reveals that she's been having a little trouble finding guys who want to go out with her because she feels like they're intimidated by the fact that she is president of a company.
Right. Which Mona drags out of her. She basically drags out of her that Angela's in a dry spell.
Yeah. Yeah, like she wasn't going to volunteer
Like, just-
that information in
right.
front of Tony otherwise.
It's been a while for Angela.
Right. And then, of course, Mona's got to be like, it's either that you're the president of that company or word's gotten around that you don't fool around on the first date.
Yeah.
But as we saw in Sorority Sister, I mean, the episode right before this one, I'm not so sure that Angela doesn't fool around on the first date.
I know.
And why not?
That's right.
She is a single woman in her
That's
30s.
right.
She's allowed to do what she wants. So Tony says, well, it's like Barbara Brooks, a not Italian name, from high school where everyone always just thought that she probably had dates every night, and so nobody bothered to try to ask her out. And then one guy, Anthony Camisa, definitely Italian name.
Anthony Camisa.
I have like 4 relatives in my family named Anthony, and I think most Italian people do. So he was just like, he asked her out, and she said yes because no one else was asking her out. So they try to encourage Angela to just ask a guy out or just to be more forward in the future, which she doesn't really know that she can feel comfortable doing that.
Correct. Yes.
So now So we see Angela back at work, and we meet Rosie in person for the first time. So Rosie's her secretary. It's the same woman who was on the phone in the pilot to let Tony know that Angela had gotten the job.
That's right. Yep.
And she's played by Diane Robin, and she is still working today. Like, she has 2 things coming out in 2021. So
good for her.
Yeah, she's been working for a long time. So Rosie has a date. Like, the phone rings in Angela's office, and it's a guy that Rosie doesn't even know who it is, but she figures she'll recognize him when she sees him. And goes,
Rosie's having...
Yeah.
Rosie's living her best life.
She really is. So she goes downstairs to meet her date, and not to mention that Rosie's wearing a fantastic sweater dress with a belt.
Yeah, an amazing belt.
Yes. Angela, not so much. I feel like she's dressed like a little sailor girl or something. I'm not really sure what that outfit is. It's not one of my
bizarre
favorite.
One.
So after Rosie leaves, Angela's on her way out, and Rosie's phone rings. So she picks it up to take a message, and at that same moment, a man walks in.
I like that, really quick, that when she answered the phone, she answered it in Rosie's, like the accent. That was really funny.
Yeah, that was great. So he immediately assumes that she's the secretary because she's sitting at Rosie's desk.
Yes.
That character is Harry Dolan. He's played by Michael Goodwin. Again, a lot of 80s and 90s credits, but not anything that would probably jump out at people as recognizing him from. So he just got out of an interview with Mr. Peterson, is what he says. We will know this character as Jim Peterson in future episodes. So, or actually later, even in this episode. And he's excited that the interview went well, and so he's hoping to be able to come back and meet with the higher-up boss, who is Angela, but he does not realize that.
Yes.
So he immediately asks her out for a drink. They kind of hit it off. He thinks her name is Rosie, and they go
And
out for a
Angela
drink.
tries to
she makes
tell
an
him,
attempt.
but then just goes
Right,
with it
just run
because
her
she
rolls
likes
with
him
it.
and she doesn't want to know that she's the president of the company.
Right. So when Angela gets home that night, I thought it was cute that Tony has like her drink already.
I know, and he actually just got it ready. She just walks in as he's finishing it off.
Yeah. That's like such a thing that like a 50s housewife would have done for a husband, or at least portrayed on television that way. Whether or not people really did that, I don't know.
Yeah.
So he has a drink ready for her. She's excited that she has a date, but she tells Tony that he thinks she's the secretary. And he throws back the same line to her about how you shouldn't start a relationship on a misunderstanding. So she tells Tony she's just going to tell him after he has his meeting, so that he doesn't get nervous beforehand, but she will tell him at her cocktail party on Friday the truth. And Tony's bummed to find out that there's a cocktail party on Friday because he was going to ask for the night off.
For the night off.
Because Wanda wanted to take him to a fancy shindig. Well, the fancy shindig is at his own house. Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. And quick side note, which I always have these little side notes. I noticed that Angela's glasses in this episode take up about 46% of her face.
Oh my goodness, yes.
Why is it like the glasses are getting larger?
Because they
these glasses really take up
a
good amount of her face.
And I don't feel that these were glasses specifically made for Angela Bauer, so these must have been glasses that people wore.
Just what people wore back then.
But I mean,
you can see if you look at one point, you can see all the set lights in her glasses.
Yes. You could probably see people in the audience clapping.
Oh my gosh. It's just, what's happening
I
with these glasses? That was a thing, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, they're fantastic in like a vintage fun way, but if you actually saw anyone wearing these, I don't know how
you'd be like, what's going on over there?
Yeah. Like your eyes are not that large. Like how much peripheral vision do you need here? Like so they both have like a first date, I guess, with before the Friday night thing. She goes out with Harry, he goes out with Wanda.
Yeah.
And they come home and are kind of like regrouping about their dates. That's a really cute scene.
It is. That's the best scene. That's what we started with. Like
Yes,
of
that's
that scene.
the clip we played at the beginning.
That's good.
And it's really showing that their like friendship is growing, and they're at this point where they kind of like dish to each other about their dates and stuff, and are really like a confidant. Mm-hmm. And so you looked it up. So sozzle is really a thing?
Sozzle is really a thing. It
Okay.
is pretty much what happens in that episode, which is where pretty much she comes in, he's eating cookies and milk.
Right.
Like he's 5.
Right.
And it's the middle of the night. Or not middle of the night, but like later.
Yeah.
And he's dropping his cookie into the milk, like fully engulfing the cookie with milk. And then she comes in and she's like, oh, what do you just dip it in there or whatever? And then he says, no, you sozzle the cookie. So basically, Merriam-Webster definition of sozzle is to wash by splashing. Splash,
Oh, okay.
splash or souse.
I see. Yeah.
To
So it's
make
just,
a
like,
drunk,
messy.
to intoxicate. So you're
Oh.
it's fully engulfing the cookie
okay.
in milk.
That makes sense. Got
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
Okay.
So sozzle's a real word. I was
Right.
like, oh, it must be like an Italian thing. But I also like the
Yeah.
comment that Tony makes that apparently his mother's cookies were very hard. Because he says you had to do that. With my
Right.
mother's cookies, you had to do this or you'd break your teeth.
Right. But
So-
you would think that Tony's mom would have
Would
been
make excellent cookies
Yeah.
because she's Italian. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
So that day,
You had
that
to
was a
learn
little
how to cook from somewhere.
disconcerting to
Yeah.
me.
So Angela does sozzle, and she's kind of grossed out about it, even though in the previous episode she was just sticking her fingers in peanut butter
I know.
and jelly.
That's a good
But
point.
whatever.
That's an excellent point.
So she's basically saying that, she doesn't want to make. So he asks, "Did you tell Harry?"
Yes.
And she asks, "Did you tell Wanda?"
But hang on, before you go further,
Yeah.
I have another side note.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
So he asks about Harry.
Right.
Right? And she says, and I quote, I think I struck pay dirt. Do you know
Okay.
what that means?
No.
Okay, guy, I'm gonna
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna tell you what that means.
Does it just mean like something good? Like you found
Yeah,
gold
but-
in the ground?
Yeah, that's very good. Very
Oh,
good.
okay.
I have it here in my notes. But because we watch the show with the closed captioning on.
Right,
We
right,
just do because sometimes I want to see what's actually going on or whatever if I miss something. And I saw them like struck pay dirt. Like, what does that mean? And I think she says it twice or something. But on the freedictionary.com, strike pay dirt to discover or happen upon something very particularly or abundantly valuable or useful, especially after a long or arduous search.
Oh.
So yeah,
she's
she's
into this guy.
She's like she's been searching for
Right,
a while for a
right,
man,
yeah.
and then she struck pay dirt because this guy came out of nowhere.
Right.
Like she was just digging along in the dirt, and here he just showed up, and she was sitting at Rosie's desk. I don't know. I thought maybe you caught that strike pay dirt. Like
No.
yeah, she says I struck pay dirt. I'm like, what?
Oh.
I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
It's like an old timey saying.
It's
or
a
something.
very Angela thing to say.
Exactly. I struck
And
pay dirt.
she's very
Never heard that in my
very
47
excited.
years of life.
So the next day.
Anyway.
No, we did more. Okay. So basically they just. It's clear that no one has told them.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
And he's still driving the Jaguar around. So the next day at the office, she's in her office with Rosie, and she knows that Jim is going to be bringing Harry by. So she tells Rosie, please go stay out by your desk, and if he comes by with a man, tell them that I'm not here.
Well, but right before that happens, Rosie asks where her nameplate is on her desk, which was pretty funny. Have you seen my nameplate? You're not Rosie
But, like-
anymore. Never mind.
But what did she do with? Was she planning to then meet Harry as Rosie in
I don't
her
know.
office? Like that would.
But like,
yeah.
when
She'd just
Harry
do it
walked in, he'd
garbage.
see that
Right,
actual
that
Rosie was
woman-
sitting there
right.
anyway. But then no
Right.
nameplate. Nameplate was a big thing.
Right. So
That was funny.
Rosie doesn't make it out of the office in time, and Jim Peterson brings Harry into Angela's office and introduces Angela to Harry. But Harry immediately goes to Rosie because he thinks that she is Angela Bauer.
Yes.
So it gets super awkward for a minute, and Jim is like, he's not that quick on the uptake, but wait until you hear his presentation.
I know.
Because he
It's just
thinks,
insulting.
what is wrong with this man?
Right.
That like doesn't understand who Angela is. That actor is Earl Bowen, so he plays Jim Peterson, and we will see him in more episodes.
Yeah, and I meant to look him up because I know he's in a lot of other stuff, but I don't remember
he's in a
what.
lot of stuff, but again, like another one of those
Just a
actors where
working
you
actor.
recognize him,
Yeah.
right? He's actually done a lot of voice work as well in cartoons and stuff.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I know he's a steady working actor. He was.
Yeah.
I don't even know if he's alive.
No, he
Hey.
is.
Oh, he
He's
is?
alive.
Okay, good
Oh,
for
yeah.
him.
So Angela gets Rosie and Jim to leave her office that she can have a moment alone with Harry, and explains to him that she wanted to tell him, but she was worried that he would be, not okay with it, and that she's had trouble being able to find men who don't seem put off by her success. And right off the bat, and at this point, Harry seems put off by her success.
Oh, yes, of course. That's down in my notes.
Yeah.
Like immediately Harry has a problem here.
Right. So, and I mean, is that a thing? I guess it's a thing. Maybe not
think
so
it's a
much
thing.
now, because men and women are more equal, and
I bet it still is a little bit.
yeah.
Yes, for sure.
But so many more couples are working, both working, but maybe
Mm-hmm.
there's still like issues if like the wife actually makes more than the husband. Or,
No issue here.
I know.
You can make twice as much and be like,
Yeah, I
heck
don't.
yeah.
But what you're saying is that I could.
I'm saying
and
you
you'd
could.
Be happy, right?
I'm saying you could make
Right.
twice. I'd be like, yeah, that works.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I know you would be you would make a much better stay-at-home parent than I ever would.
I don't know about that,
But so later that night, it's the night of the fancy shindig. So I'm assuming that Tony had to like get the party ready and then go pick up Wanda, because like there's no way Angela did all that herself unless she just catered the party. In which
Yeah.
it would have been great if we saw Robert, but we don't. So
that would be incredible.
he was just back. So you can tell that Angela's a little frazzled trying to run around with hors d'oeuvres because Tony isn't there. So she opens the front door to Tony and Wanda standing there. So she pretends that she doesn't know Tony. They make introductions and they come in. And she's like, you didn't tell her on the way over? And Tony didn't. And
Yeah, she's like, any new developments?
right. And he says something about we were listening to Elliot Janeway.
Yes.
Did you look that up?
I did. I looked up Elliot Janeway. It just says Janeway was born as Elliot Jacobstein in New York City. Basically, he's a writer, I guess, or journalist. Occupation was journalist. Economist, journalist, and author.
Oh, okay.
So they must have been
economist.
listening to. He was trying to be like fancy.
Okay. Yeah.
Driving around
I
the
see.
Jaguar is listening to.
Got it.
Elliot
Making her
Janeway.
think that he is rich.
Right.
And a businessman. Okay.
Right.
So, yeah, that's a reference that I think most people are not going to get today.
Yeah, I
or
wouldn't get
Definitely not children. But so his plan gets messed up when Angela again opens the front door and Samantha's standing there.
I know.
And so it appears that she was supposed to spend the night at Marcy's house, but since Marcy wouldn't let her try on her training bra,
I know, which makes no sense.
she wanted to come home.
And
So-
it's like, that's not reasonable at all. Like, she's like, is it Marcy?
Marcy,
Marcy
yeah.
wouldn't let me try on her training bra.
Right.
So then she had her dad drive
Right.
her home. I'm like, wait, hang on, time out. Maybe Marcy doesn't want you trying on her bra.
Right, I'm
There's
trying on
nothing
her
wrong
underwear. Yeah. So Tony, Tony's date Wanda sees this little girl and is like, "Oh, who is this?" And she says, "I'm Samantha Micelli." So Tony has no choice but to say that that's
Yeah,
his
she's
daughter.
like, I'm going to bed. And she goes upstairs.
Right, yeah. Good night, Dad.
It's like, oh, I live here.
Right. So he has to tell her that he lives there and that he is Angela's housekeeper and he is not rich. So I think Angela immediately thinks that Wanda is going to, dump him.
Yes.
And she steps in and says really nice things about him, that he is a hero because he took this job to get his daughter out of a bad neighborhood, and that
better school.
you're right, better school, and that there's no reason why she shouldn't date him because he's a housekeeper. So Wanda knew the whole time, basically saying that, everybody knows that Tony is Angela's housekeeper. and she didn't care, but she just wanted to see how long it would take him to tell her the truth. So right after everything gets straightened out with Wanda, Mona shows up. And I do not understand what she is wearing. Like,
I don't either.
She's dressed as if she's going to one of those, like, theater mysteries where you have to figure out who killed, like, a clue, murder mystery.
I know. It's just this, like, 20s or 30s.
40,
I don't know.
Like, it's not really flapper,
40s,
but kind of. I don't know. Lots of feathers. I was very confused. And fringe. So she's basically just there to see the drama. And some drama happens because Harry shows up right after that. And Angela's pretty surprised to see him because she didn't think he was going to show up at all.
Right, because he said he wasn't comfortable showing up.
Right.
Pretty much.
So he does admit that he is intimidated by a woman who's more successful
of course.
than him. Yeah. So I think this was a really interesting storyline for them to play at this time. So Mona steps in and stands up for her, much the way Angela stood up for Tony, and basically says that, she is successful, but she's wonderful, and there's really no reason why that should stand in anyone's way for dating. So Harry changes his mind and decides to give it a shot.
Yeah.
Just right there.
Right.
Done.
I know, but I mean, he still showed up, and so,
right,
which means he showed interest.
True.
So he's like, well, yeah, I mean, like...
Maybe he was planning to give it a shot.
She's the president of a company. I have an issue with that, but she's still hot, so I'm going to go.
Right. So my question, though, is did Harry get this job? Like...
I don't know. We'll never know that.
We will never know because we will never see him again.
Yeah, that's it for Harry.
Yeah, gone. So... Then, of course, Harry's like, so are there any other secrets I should know about?
Yeah, that was
She's
funny.
like, no, not at all.
She's like, I have nothing to hide.
Right.
And then Tony walks up.
Right. And then immediately Tony comes over, introduces himself as the housekeeper, who also lives there.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, if he's not already intimidated by the fact that this woman's more successful than him, he's now even more intimidated by the fact that a super hot guy lives there with her.
Right. And she has a man as a housekeeper.
Right.
For the time.
Right. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So... I thought it was really cute, too, at the end, where Tony is basically excited that Angela said so many nice things about him to Wanda.
Right.
Which was cute. And that's it. Yeah, and we never see Wanda again. We never see Harry or Wanda again.
Wanda and her helmet hair.
Yeah. So another question I have, though, is that earlier in the episode... Wanda asks him how long he's been going to that grocery store, and he says a few weeks. So do we think that each episode is actually a week, like a slice of a week of their lives? Like, have they only been living there for 2 months at this point? Because it feels like it should be longer.
Yeah, it feels like they've known each other way longer.
Right, yeah. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
But, so, yeah, that's it.
That's good.
We've hit the end. Okay, so... Do we do our news segment first, or do we do our episode rating?
I should do rating.
Okay, we'll do our rating first.
I guess. I'm just, whatever. You asked me, and that's my answer.
My rating for this one is only a 6. It's 6 AOOAs.
Yeah, I agree with that, actually.
Okay. Nice.
I gave it a 6 as well. It wasn't, like, completely eventful or groundbreaking. Not that any of these episodes have probably been groundbreaking. But, I mean, for Who's the Boss standards.
Right.
I mean, actually, they are. A lot of them are groundbreaking. Yeah. And actually, even this one was a little bit.
Yeah,
but,
I mean, the storylines they dealt with definitely were.
About it, But it didn't, like... some of the other episodes have just been better. So, yeah, I would give this one a 6 as well.
So,
6 AOOAs.
Yeah, I saw a interview segment, I think it was on the E! True Hollywood Story with Tony Danza, where he said that he used to get pretty annoyed because they would get bashed by the critics quite a bit. Mm-hmm. And he said, like, are we making high art? No. But are we doing a very good job for the show that we're putting on the air? And he said yes. And I agree with that. Like, I think, Who's the Boss is never going to be... The Sopranos or
I mean, right, but it is what it is.
But yes, but I think the storylines that they're dealing and for the time were pretty unique. And
it holds up better than a lot of shows of that time.
Yeah.
There are a few shows from the 80s, and the 70s or whatever, but they don't I mean, it has its moments, but it does not. Some of those shows don't hold up as well.
Right.
And this one kind of. I mean, some of the jokes I literally laugh.
Yeah.
Out loud,
No, I do.
And I
laugh.
find myself.
I laughed at that sweater when she said she was going to fire him over the sweater for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I remember watching Three's Company as a kid, thinking it was the greatest show ever, and I watch it now, and I'm like, God, some of the stuff is just not funny.
It's a harder one.
I mean, that's a whole nother can of worms just based on.
Yeah, that's a harder one to deal with in today's time.
But I'm saying, like, some of the older shows you watch, I'm like, gosh, that was not that funny.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
Okay, so our new segment, and we actually have it open for this. Are you ready?
Yes, always.
Who's the boss around here? Me? Or my mother? Or maybe it's you!
In interviews, the actors have said that the boss can change episode by episode. So,
how about that?
Kevin, in this episode, who do you think is the boss?
Mona.
Okay.
Mona.
Can you back that up with some facts?
No.
Okay.
No, I just think that Mona was like, she doesn't have much of a role in this episode, but I feel like when she does step in,
yeah, she's making decisions.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, the beginning episode, she's taking a picture of Tony with the pumpkin and all that stuff, whatever. But like when she tells Harry, right? His name's Harry.
Yeah.
About, she's like, you don't know what you're missing, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
She says all those nice things about Angela. So I feel like Mona stepped up enough in this episode to be the boss.
Okay.
I guess.
So for me with this one, I went with Angela as the boss. And I think just because she kind of took control of her own, like she took Mona's advice, but she didn't call Fred. And even though she didn't make the right choice, she she was the boss of herself, of her own dating. And
that's true. She was in complete control of the situation.
Yeah. So let us know what you think. If you think someone else is the boss this episode, or if you agree, you can reach us at Who's the Boss Podcast on Instagram. Send us a direct message about anything we missed or anything you'd like us to discuss on future episodes. Or you can go to anchor.fm/WTB podcast, and there you can leave a voice message. Next time we'll be reviewing Sports Buddies. Do you remember this one?
No.
Okay. I like this one a lot.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Basically, Angela's dating a guy, and he's also friends with Tony. And then there's some jealousy going on, but it's kind of really, you're going to show that Tony and Angela are becoming very good friends. So that's next time. Okay. Do we have a song for the end?
We do. This is, it's Douglas Watley and Michelle Jalisa performing the Who's the Boss theme song, Brand New Life.
If you like this podcast, please subscribe and tell all your friends, and give you a big pat on the back.
There's a time for love and a time for living. You take a chance and face the wind. An open road and a road that's in a brand new life around the bend.
There were times I lost a dream or two. I found the trail, and at the end was you.
There's a path you take and a path I'm taking. The choice is up to you, my friend. Nights are long, but you're on your way to a brand new life. Brand new life, a brand new life around the bend. You make all things new, yeah. You make all things new, and I will follow you.